And now, Douglas, we have the police warning Jewish people to hide their Star of David necklaces or threatening to arrest them if they're looking openly Jewish in London. We've got to that point very quickly.
Yes, we have, Rita. As you say, we've got there very quickly. Things have been normalised today, which would have been front page news for weeks just a few years ago. The fact that, as you say, we have priests being attacked at the altar, we have Jews afraid to walk the streets of Western cities, and so on. The problem here, all of the discussion around this, Rita, as you very well know, everything around it is always fearful because of a number of things. People are fearful about addressing this because sometimes they're afraid of physically for their own safety, and sometimes they're afraid because they're afraid of what they're going to be called. For instance, if you say what our Emirati friend there just said, and you don't have the advantage of being from where he is, dressing as he does, looking as he does, and having his name, you'll be called an Islamophobe and perhaps even a racist. And, for some years I've been thinking about this, and I would say, anyone who doesn't think that there's a problem within Islam doesn't know enough Muslims, and they should really get out there and make some Muslim friends. Because if they knew any Muslims, if they were friends with any Muslims, they'd know that all Muslims know that there's a problem. All Muslims know what our Emirati friend there was talking about. They're not ignorant about it. They know what's happened to their co-religionists, among others. They know how apostates are treated within Islam. They know how reformers are treated. They know how Shia and Sunni are at each other's necks and have been for a millennia and a half. They know this. They know there's a problem. But the only people who can't talk about that are the people of the countries who have been experiencing immigration from Muslim countries in very large numbers. And if that migration was all of secular or secularized, progressive, reformist, open-minded, live and let live, we respect the traditions of the country we're moving into types, then, hallelujah, I'd say, to coin a phrase. But that isn't the case because of our immigration policies, because of our lack of integration policies, because nobody really knows what they're doing with so-called integration policies. We've been importing an awful lot of people, and you can choose your number. We've been importing an awful lot of people who think very differently from you and me and most other people who thought there was a settlement in our countries. There was a poll just the other day in the UK about support of Hamas among British Muslims. And it was only a minority of British Muslims that were willing to condemn or say that they opposed Hamas. Well, that's not a problem for Israel. That's a problem for Britain.
It is, and you are so right. As you know, my family is from a Muslim-majority country. We had to flee the Islamists when the Islamic Revolution happened, and this ignorance in the West about the extremist elements within the religion. I'm not talking about Muslims who just follow their faith and are not extremist in any way. We're talking about the Islamists here. The ignorance of that is profound, and it is rooted in this desire to be inclusive and politically correct and not sometimes state the bleeding obvious. And we're seeing this anti-West sentiment over and over again. This example in the UK, Oxford University scrapping its St George's Day event, but hosting an Eid dinner instead. The Telegraph's reporting on the banquet to mark the end of Ramadan, replacing the formal celebration of England's patron saint, which stretched back decades. I mean, this is just a tiny example, Douglas, but we have that happening right here in Australia, where there is this reluctance to celebrate our national holiday, Australia Day, but every other celebration, well, that's embraced.
That's absolutely right. It's astonishing. They'll fly the flag. They'll fly any flag on Oxford Street in London, apart from our national flag. You know, the LGBTQIA plus weird fringe of a lobby recently came up with a brand new pride flag, which is one of the ugliest things ever. But no sooner had they invented this ugly flag with a sort of triangle pointing into a weird anyhow, the point is, no sooner did they come up with this genius marketing ploy than that flag was all throughout Oxford Street, all throughout the centre of London by order of the mayor, Sadiq Khan. You know, we had Ramadan lights up across Oxford Street this year, thanks to Sadiq Khan and others. St. George's Day, there doesn't seem to have been a cross of St. George in sight. And some of this comes, you know, Rita, I mean, you don't know whether to laugh or cry. Some of it comes very close to home. The college that made this decision at Oxford is my old college, Magdalen. And I read this with amazement, because I'm all for being inclusive. I'm all for saying, you know, if we have students of different backgrounds, we'll have a, you know, they can have a celebration here, the Jewish students here, the Christian students here, the Muslim students there. But part of the point of freedom of religion is that you don't force other people into following your rules. And this decision, not just not to celebrate St. George's Day, but to celebrate the end of Ramadan, is a dinner, the dinner in Hall to celebrate Ramadan. This is where all of the students and the professors have dinner. And I'll tell you a sign that this is about something other than just being nice to each other. The dinner was non-alcoholic. Nobody could drink at the dinner in respect to Ramadan. Now, I can tell you, Rita, having spent a number of years in that institution, the idea of a dinner at my college with no alcohol is absolutely foreign to me. I wouldn't recognize it. I reckon that most people will be in utter shock at that. But the point is that there's a serious thing underneath this. You know, you want to celebrate your religion and not drink, fine. But you know, your religion is not my religion. So if I want to drink at the dinner, I should have the right to do so and not have to change my habits to be in line with your religious beliefs. But this is another example, just the latest, Rita, as you well know, is this is just the latest of this thing of, it's all said to be equality, and it's not about equality, it's about something else.
And a lot of it is about submission. That's particularly if you live in a Muslim majority country, as I did for a number of years. Now, finally, I got to touch on this wonderful piece you wrote about the triumph of the brilliant and brave headmistress of the exceptional free school in the UK called Michaelia. I've had Catherine Berbel-Singh on this program. She has just achieved the most remarkable academic results for her students, many of whom come from the most disadvantaged socioeconomic groups, and yet she has been relentlessly attacked. Tell me about this latest campaign against her and her school and her triumph.
Yes, I mean, she set up this school more than 10 years ago. As you said, it's not only incredibly diverse, but comprised of people, children from very deprived socioeconomic circumstances. The school has proved itself in an unbelievable way. It now outperforms almost any other schools in the country. And she has shown, Catherine Berbel-Singh has shown, that you don't need a lot of money to improve education. Goodness knows they don't have any more money than any other school, in fact, rather less. But what you need is discipline, dedicated teachers, and being taught the basics of your what will become your personality, rather than, you know, you've got a magic personality, tell us all about it, you 8-year-old. The school has performed exceptionally. It's demonstrably, all the other schools set up at the same time by sort of leftist doctrinaires have failed miserably, and this school has excelled. They were recently taken to court by a Muslim pupil and her parents because this school believes in there being no place for religion in the school. Said that there couldn't be mass prayers of, I mean, it all connects, doesn't it? Couldn't be mass prayers by Muslim students in the playground. They tested this. They went against the school. And eventually the family amazingly found money, I don't know where from, to take the school to court. And it went all the way to the High Court. Catherine Birbalsingh won, and the school won, on the basis that the family knew that they were signing up not to a madrasa, but to a school that wanted to have religious boundaries. And Catherine Birbalsingh won. But all of this is to say there's a very important point here. Why should it be that a school which demonstrates excellence, which has a very clear guiding policy, that has now shown itself in the grade room to be exceptional, why should it be that it's that school that is attacked not just by some Islamists and so on, but by leftists, the teaching unions, the Labour Party and others? Why do they attack this school instead of saying, hey, this is so amazing, we want every school to follow this, we want 1,000 Michaelo academies in the next 5 years? They do it, Rita, because the success of Catherine Birbalsingh shows the failures of her critics. There is school after school that has tried the left-wing approach to education, and the one that says that you shouldn't have discipline because discipline is bad for the pupils and stops their free expression and much, much more. No, she has shown up the left-wing trade unions and others to be utterly incapable and inept. And it's not an issue of money, it's an issue of ethos in the school. So I say 3 cheers for Catherine Birbalsingh, which she should never have been put through these trials, because she's an utter hero.
She is an absolute hero. The trials she went through just to get this school up, because they tried to stop her even before the school began. And the results, as you spoke about, extraordinary, and her students are happy. They love her. They love the school. And it's all about back to basics learning. It strips out the indoctrination. It's about teacher-led learning, not the students letting the lunatics run the asylum. And it works, not surprisingly, it works. Douglas Murray, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time this evening.